Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It's Friday, and it's a pay-per-view weekend, so you know what that means. This is a prediction show. Tomorrow night, WWE Fastlane. It is a stacked 5-match card, and we're going to be breaking down all 5 matches here on the show today. Now, let me introduce the panel. Firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well. Happy Friday, everybody. It's going to be a fun weekend. Once again, like you said, pay-per-view weekend. We've got John Cena on the card. I'm excited across the board. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And also the man who's going to have yet another busy weekend because he's going to be reviewing Fastlane, the head of reviews here at Wrestling Republic, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
I'm pretty good. I obviously am still recovering from the last weekend of late nights, right, and spewing out the review at the last second. But I hear that John Cena is on the card at Fastlane, so I'm ready to enjoy it. So
I don't get this. Why we're calling him John Cena now? But I mean,
honestly, I just saw the
knows?
Santino Marella clip of him calling him
John Cena.
I don't know
John
that I
Cena?
I don't know that I can call him anything else. It made me laugh so hard. It's unbelievable. Like, I just was scrolling Instagram this morning and the clip came up, and I was like dying laughing.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot about that until you mentioned it, and now it's just stuck in my head too.
Oh no, I can't call him anything else.
But also joining us, right? Okay, so usually when I post, when I take clips from our daily broadcast, this podcast, and post them to Instagram, I kind of, I usually get, good feeling if a clip's gonna be controversial or whatever. I try and balance them out with some of the more extreme takes from, people with some, more just, standard, fair, well-said takes, right? And I posted what I thought was going to be a very, well-said take the other day. I thought it was going to be a take which was universally agreed upon. And that take was by Shad about Dominic Mysterio. And the entire comments have just murdered him. For some reason, whenever we post something negative related to Dominic Mysterio, it happened to Clark first and now Shad. The comments just hate us for days. It's just so weird. I don't get it. Dominic Mysterio clearly has some control over the fan base. But anyway, Shad is here today. Welcome to the show, Shad. Hopefully you don't get any hate today.
You know what's crazy? I'd never even said anything negative about Dominic Mysterio. If they watch my review episodes of the NXT day off air with Clark and Drizzy, they would notice I normally say all positive things. I just didn't like the booking decision. He must be the biggest heel in the stadiums and arenas, but on the internet, he's the most beloved person in the world. So you learn something new every day. But I'm good, man. I'm ready to talk about this amazing pay-per-view we have. Low-key, a lot of fire matches on it. Let's get into it.
Absolutely, and let's firstly head to the comment section because we got Josh Markowitz here. Sup, fellas? Hello, Josh. Great to have you here. And of course, we got Bobby Petito in the comments as well. And Bobby is saying that Cassie Lee is wrestling at the World Series Wrestling in Australia, and she will be with Harley Cameron and Sean Spears too. Whew, stacked card that. That is certainly one to keep an eye on, but something else which, we should all keep an eye on is John Cena, if we're able to see him. But we will be able to see him this Saturday night as he will team with LA Knight, to take on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline. This match I'm very excited for. I think it's a possibility it even main events. Who knows? Because it's a weird card to try and predict what will main event, to be honest with you. But this very, possibly could be it. John Cena back in the ring. I think we're all excited to see it. Him teaming up with LA Knight. That is very fun. And of course, taking on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, they're obviously building up They have been now for the past year. Jimmy Uso is now transitioned into the singles division for the first time in WWE. So this very much is a match where John Cena is going to have to try and, put everybody over. He's going to have to try and put over both members of the Bloodline as singles competitors, even though it's a tag match. And then, of course, the guy who he's teaming with, who's currently, having a big push in LA Knight. Yeah. But I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people think that maybe John Cena, Roman Reigns again at Crown Jewel could be the plan. I don't think that's where this is going. I think we're going to get LA Knight versus Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel with John Cena as the special guest referee. That is my prediction. I think, it makes a lot of sense. John Cena has, been the special guest referee a couple of times now. I think he'd certainly, want LA Knight to have a fair chance. And the only way to make that make sense is for LA Knight to get the pinfall on Jimmy Uso or Solo Sikoa this Saturday night. So that is my prediction. Clark, I'll head to you. What are your thoughts heading into this one?
I love your prediction about the special guest referee, John Cena. I think you're spot on in your assessment as far as who needs to be put over in this match. I would love to see LA Knight get that pinfall victory, like you said, whether it be Jimmy or Solo, or in some way be the hero, even in a loss. If their team's going to lose and Cena gets pinned, I want LA Knight to look like the hero. And there's a scenario in there where he can kind of do that. I think maybe some sort of Cena mistake leading to their side taking the loss, but LA Knight stopping the beatdown. I wouldn't have an issue with that after the match, and LA Knight's music being the last thing we hear as the pay-per-view goes off, as I imagine this will likely be either the main event, or if it's not the main event, in the opening match, it's LA Knight's music that plays as the match goes to the next, into the next segment, right? When everybody's going back to the back. I would have no issue with either. I do think this is as much about LA Knight as it is any of the other three guys involved in this storyline, which is a very odd thing for me to say, I feel like, but it's the truth. And this to me is a little bit make or break for LA Knight in a positive way. I don't want that to come across like, oh, it's now or never. But if he really, really shows up in this one and puts on a heck of a match from his end, then there's really no stopping him as far as this ascent and this push that we've kind of been whispering about now for a little bit loud whispering, but talking about for about 6 months now, whether he's too old or whether it's time or not. Strike while the iron's hot, but here's the time to show what you can do in the ring, because you're with three legit main event level talents.
Absolutely. It really is. I don't want to say make or break for him, but it kind of is that, right? LA Knight is in this position where he's going to be pushed into this main event scene, and if he messes up, he might, never get another chance at it. But Coby, I'll pass this to you next. What are you thinking heading into this tag team match, and who do you see walking away with the victory?
At the end of the day, if we look at what the Bloodline is going with, and we kind of see that Jimmy Uso's trying to be Roman Reigns. Like, we see Paul Heyman talking and Jimmy Uso's doing the hand thing like Roman does. Present me with the microphone. And at the end of the day, Jimmy Uso's gaining a massive ego by this. I think the move is to knock him down a peg. We know that WWE are advertising Roman Reigns to return next Friday via the event promotion. At the end of the day, Roman Reigns is going to return. He normally doesn't return when it's time to celebrate something, like the Bloodline beating John Cena and LA Knight. He normally returns when he has to lay down the law, or something bad happened, or some issues are there, blah, blah, blah. We can go on and on about when he returns, and we can get one of the many Roman Reigns returns graphics that we always get, because it's very much become a meme. At the end of the day, this match does have to get LA Knight over. Putting him with Cena should get him over. Solo Sikoa probably shouldn't take the pin in this case, because if we're still trying to protect Sokoa and keep that aura of maybe Roman is scared of Sokoa, because we've seen that during the whole Bloodline versus Usos stuff between Money in the Bank and Survivor Series, or in that area. I think Cena and LA Knight is the move for the winner in this case. I don't know what the exact direction is for Crown Jewel. I don't know if AJ Styles returns in time for that match. I don't know if we get a 6-man tag. That could be something that happens at Crown Jewel. Maybe something happens to get one of the face teams another win over the Bloodline. But at the end of the day, I do believe we know Roman Reigns is probably going to wrestle at Crown Jewel, and he's probably going to wrestle at Survivor Series. So I don't know what role the matches play. If the Crown Jewel match sets up the Survivor Series match, or if the Bloodline is just not a part of Survivor Series altogether. I have no idea.
That could be interesting. I mean, certainly. I mean, obviously, another way about it is maybe they go reverse to what you just said, and perhaps they do, a LA Knight Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, and then maybe a War Games at Survivor Series with the Bloodline. I mean, you'd have to have it Bloodline with somebody, because obviously they're not as big now. But perhaps they could do something like that. Who knows? But what about you, Shad? What do you think about this match? And do you think that John Cena and LA Knight will walk out with the victory?
I think that Mr. John Cena is gonna definitely there's three things certain in life: death, taxes, and Jimmy Uso getting pinned for the loss next week. And I think in regards to the match, I like it a lot, and I like what they're doing with John Cena. In regards to how you're using him, I think it's a good way to kind of give him a rub to a bunch of other superstars that are on the rise. LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, for instance, being newer guys. And I think going into it, you're going to see you can open a lot of different doors within the match. You obviously open the next, phase or run that LA Knight can go with. Him as over as he is, you add more legitimacy having someone like John Cena with him, and then you open the next door to whatever this bloodline story is between Jimmy, Solo, Roman, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think we'll see a match where it'll be a fun match. You'll see a lot of hot tag spots from John Cena doing what he got to do. LA Knight working his course. Jimmy having his heel tactics, Solo looking like an absolute beast. But it'll probably be an ending where Jimmy is going to make them lose for some reason. He'll be the reason that the team with him and his younger brother won't come victorious. And it's going to probably, to Coby's point, make Roman mad, and it's going to get Roman to get back on TV. And of course, we got the Saudi show coming up, and Roman's going to be there. He's big money. They're going to throw big money at him. And that's the part where I'm a little interested, because the smart move is booking him versus LA Knight, and that giving LA Knight that title opportunity. We know he's probably not going to win it, but he's so over as a threat where you have a little bit of legitimacy going to it. But I think it's going to be rerouted. I think it's going to be Cena and Roman, and I think Roman is going to beat him. And I think the way to go to it is probably LA Knight versus Roman at like a Survivor Series, where on American soil it can be appreciated a little bit more. But that's just me spitballing ideas. In regards to the winners, it's going to be John Cena and LA Knight. Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, absolutely. See, now every time I say yeah for the rest of the episode, it's in my head. This is why I hate talking about LA Knight on this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
But now let's move on and let's talk about three people who I love to talk about on this show, and that is Io Sky, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair. A triple threat in the women's division for the WWE Women's Championship. I think this is going to be an absolutely banger of a match. Obviously, the reason that it's happening is because Bayley set it up. Io Sky isn't very happy about that, but I don't think this is how she's going to lose. I think Bayley is going to help her retain this, right? And maybe Io Sky won't be too happy that Bayley, assists her in the victory. But Bayley's argument will be, well, I got you in this mess, and I got you out of it. But I think this is going to create some more tension before we eventually do get Io Sky versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship in hopefully a main event slot, because that's where it deserves to be. Clark, you've been critical of WWE's booking of Bayley in the last couple of years. What are your thoughts heading into this match? Do you think that this could be the start of the Bayley Io Sky feud?
I'm a huge fan of all three competitors, but this is like if the NFL decided to scrap the regular season and just use the Madden ratings to decide who makes the playoffs. Like, outside of Bayley booking the match somehow, what's the story here? Come on, you have Io Sky and Asuka. There's a story to be told there. You got Charlotte Flair, the queen, one of the greatest of all time in this match, and it's like stuffed in the middle of the card. Feels like a mid-card match. It doesn't feel like a women's title match, and it should, because it's Io Sky, Asuka, and Charlotte, and it's just ridiculous to me. Like, let's get to, like you said, a main event, Io Sky and Bayley, and let Bayley run wild and reinvigorate the women's division over on SmackDown, because we've been harsh on a lot of the booking as far as women's divisions in wrestling of late. This one's been pretty tough too, since Mania, in my eyes.
Yeah, no, it is true, right? It is true. There is story here, though. I'm not gonna say that there isn't story. I mean, they built this up basically for like 8 weeks on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But they've kind of not continued. In a weird way, they've done what I criticize AEW for not doing a lot of the time, and that's explaining the story. I'm sure they'll probably do a promo package or something for it on SmackDown tonight that'll really send it home and explain it. But you're right. This triple threat match should feel like a bigger deal, because maybe to the casual fan it doesn't. But we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see on that one. But now let's continue, talking about championship matches, and let's talk about the tag team championships, because Finn Balor and Damian Priest will be teaming up to defend the WWE Tag Team Championships, their unified WWE Tag Team Championships, as they will defend them against the new team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. This one is very out of nowhere. It very much is, but sometimes when things are out of nowhere in wrestling, you might just have a little bit of a feeling to give a bit of a crazy prediction. And I have one right here. I think Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso will win the Tag Team Championships of Finn Balor and Damian Priest tomorrow night at Fastlane. I then think Cody Rhodes' announcement next week on NXT is a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournament, where they will put those Tag Team Championships on the line in the tournament. That is my prediction. It's a bit of a wild one, and it's going to link into a prediction I have later on in the show. But I do think Balor and Priest will be walking out of this match titleless, but maybe not the entire show. I'll get into that later on. But, Shad, what do you think heading into this Tag Team Championship match? Are you excited for it, and who do you see walking out the winner?
So, I have excitement for it because the nature of all four superstars in a match, how can you not be excited? You see the great dominance that the Judgment Day is booked upon WWE television on all three episodes, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and they're doing fantastic work, as well as just how over Cody Rhodes is and how great of a wrestler and superstar he is. And just I've really enjoyed Jey Uso as a single superstar. I think he's really starting to get into his own. So that part of it has me excited, because I know the match is going to be phenomenal as well. All four are great in-ring wrestlers, but the storyline leading into it, it's 50-50 for me. I mean, we've kind of see a rinse-repeat cycle of everything on Monday Night Raw that has to deal with these superstars, and it doesn't feel any different in a vacuum of a main event match you would see on Raw. But it has a little bit more legitimacy because it is on Fastlane and it is at a pay-per-view. And it's telling, just because obviously Cody got Jey onto the Raw roster. I don't know what the trade was. I guess it's like future draft picks or something like that. I don't know, but that's neither here or there. So, but nah, I'm excited to kind of see what goes on with them as a tag team. I think the right call is what you said, and I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see Jey Uso become tag team champion with someone other than his brother, and I think it'll be Cody Rhodes. And I think it's just off the fact that both of these guys are just so over right now. And I feel like the tag team titles have felt they've been very storyline driven with everything, and there's kind of been a lot of makeshift tag teams. It wouldn't be any different than when Judgment Day got it off of KO and Sammy. I think it's a lot of shock value, and I think the bigger story to tell is to kind of see what's going on with Judgment Day. I think we saw Dom lose the trick. Obviously, he got it back or whatever, but I think there's going to be more breaking within the faction, and we got to also realize that Damian still has the Money in the Bank briefcase. At some point, he's going to try to cash in and win singles gold. But I think they're going to lose. And I think your call of that tournament would be awesome. Like, I would love to see that if that is what happens. But I won't go to that standpoint and know if that will happen. But I do think Cody and Jay are going to win the tag team titles. And I think we're going to start seeing the fracture of the group as the Judgment Day started to break off a little bit more after this pay-per-view.
Absolutely, and we'll get back. We'll get a bit more in detail with that in just a little bit. I mean, Clark, very very quickly. Do you agree, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes winning the tag team championships?
I don't think Rhodey Codes and Jey Uso.
I said
are
Rhodey
gonna win
Rhodes.
I know, but Rhodey Codes is funnier. I don't think they're gonna win the tag team championships tonight. It would just be goofy, and I also think it's weird if Jay has one more tag reign than Jimmy. It just seems like something you don't want to have to deal with outside for the rest of your life.
We can get Jay and Cody versus Solo and Jimmy.
I feel like we forget like they are. Yeah.
Oh no, that's a great call, Shad.
Yeah,
that's a great call.
That would be interesting. And then they each get one. Okay. If that's the case, then yes. But I am less interested in this one than the thrown together tag match on this card.
I'm excited for it. I think
that would have been my only concern is like if you do have Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso win, who beats them?
I mean, honestly,
I understand the bloodline, but I'd also see, do we get would they be able to sell us on the Cody Rhodes and Jay versus Sammy and Kevin match? Because that's where the direction is if you're going on Raw.
I mean,
that's the direction.
Street Profits, I think, could be one where who could beat them, because they're the heels, obviously, and I think they're going to be heading for the tag championships real soon.
I mean, if Cody ever accidentally asked me what I don't want to talk about, it'd be this match.
I'll say this. I feel like just with the merger happening, I feel like we are going to see a lot of premier people hold the titles off the bat, just to kind of make good with everything that's happening. So I feel like whether it stays with the Judgment Day, because both of them are pretty premier talents, or goes to Cody and Jay, I think it's gonna be a shuffle between like kind of like this. Like if you're one of our top guys and you're not in the title picture, we'll get you a title within some title picture.
That's a good point. And Bobby Petito thinks, maybe Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Pretty Deadly. Yes, boys.
One can they coexist match is enough for Cody and Jay, and we've already had that.
Oh gosh, and we've also got Numero One Superfly is saying the Judgment Day will retain, and then down the line DIY will beat them. I think a lot of people share your opinion there. But now let's move on and let's talk about somebody who I just referenced, the Street Profits. They will be teaming up with Bobby Lashley to take on the LWO. We don't know which members of the LWO yet. Obviously, Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar is, a safe prediction to say the very least. But who is the third? Is it going to be Cruz del Toro or Joaquin Wilde? We're going to have to wait and C. I think this match is going to be, you know what they say, a low-key banger. I think it's going to go under the radar and end up being very, very fun indeed. But Coby, what is your prediction heading into this 6-man tag team match?
So there's two. Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned the one point I wanted to talk about is the LWO has 4 members. We don't know which situation it is, but I don't know how big of a factor tonight's match plays into it. We know, like, it's a prediction show today because of the pay-per-view, but Fridays we normally talk about the upcoming weekend with SmackDown and Collision. We are in a scenario where tonight on SmackDown they're giving us Rey Mysterio versus Bobby Lashley as a non-title singles match. I think, and I don't want to say this is what's going to happen. I think this is what will happen, is that Rey Mysterio sneakingly gets the victory over Lashley, but Lashley puts him in the Hurt Lock. They kind of write Rey off for the next night. That gives you the position to put Santos and put the other two, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, in the match. Because we're at the point where Lashley and the Profits need the victory. If you have the strongest version of the LWO in it, in a 6-man tag where this is Lashley and the Profits' first victory, I don't think you can continue this feud. If Rey isn't in the picture for Fastlane, then 2 or 3 weeks later, we can get Rey Santos and one of the other guys versus them in a rematch, and you can still give the Lashley Profits the victory. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Lashley and Profits needed a victory, and I was kind of pitching in August that they had to feud with the Bloodline. I still think that would have given them the legitimacy of a group or a trio, faction, whatever you want to say it. But at the end of the day, they still need the victory in this case. Like, there's no way the LWO needs to win here. I really like what the LWO has done for people like Santos Escobar. He was in a limbo. He had that great World Cup match with Ricochet, but then aside from kind of help siding with Rey in the Judgment Day feud, there wasn't really a position to where Legado del Fantasma was working greatly. And I think Santos is delivering from a face standpoint. That's why I'm personally hesitant to see him turn heel. But that's beside the point. At the end of the day, Lashley and the Profits need the victory more than anyone on this card. To be at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean that is a great point. In terms of the third man, another person it could be, we've seen the connection between him and Rey Mysterio in recent weeks. I know Shad's thinking, the exact same thing because he just chucked it in our private chat. That is Dragon Lee. I think that could very possibly be the third man. I do agree that some people are going to get written off tonight, Coby, but I actually think it's going to be Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. And Rey and Santos would go on tomorrow with Dragon Lee 6-man tag team match, and that 6-man tag team match can't help but make your mouth water.
Big ups to NXT, baby.
Yes.
I think it does, but it's a fact of like, okay, if you're kind of upgrading the LWO, can they suffer a loss? Not really.
Well, yeah, I think because you're going to split them up, isn't there? I don't think they're going to be together for much longer.
My bad. I think you're always going to have that connection between Rey and the other Latino stars like Santos Escobar, like Dragon Lee. They're always going to be that connection. I don't think we're going to necessarily get a split yet.
Santos Escobar heel turn.
I don't think that's.
I can see the heel turn happening. Rey kind of like
I can see it.
Dragon Lee becoming like Rey. Dragon Lee basically becoming what Santos was to Rey. And then also just the fact that I feel like you gotta have Rey on the pay-per-view, right? Like no knock on to Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, but like that's like a TV match.
Yeah.
When you don't have Rey in the pay-per-view, that's more of like a nice SmackDown match. It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view match to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I'm not taking any of the Cruz del Toro criticism because my best mate, right, he he barely watches wrestling, and his favorite wrestler is Cruz del Toro. Which is
I will say though, Joaquin Wilde is the least popular roster on Carter, or member of Carter's roster in our current WWE 2K23 GM mode. So
least popular.
He's the least popular, yeah.
Well, Cruz del Toro was the
made him
most popular.
He made Joaquin do a lot of advertising, and that just tanks your popularity.
That does, yeah.
You don't know how to cut a promo.
The money in, but
the guy was working a ton of advertising. Cardi Cornette was all over it. And you had him shooting commercials and everything.
We need to do a GMO play along sometime soon on you. We absolutely do. But now let's move on to the main event. Seth freaking Rollins against Shinsuke Nakamura, the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think neither man will be walking out of this event as World Heavyweight Champion, because I believe Damian Priest will be cashing in on Seth Rollins after he defeats Nakamura, and he will be the new World Heavyweight Champion after earlier in the night losing the Tag Team Championships with Finn Balor. I know I've, predicted this cash in a few times now and been wrong every single time. And I know he's just been given a custom briefcase. But I think it's to just throw us off. And that's for one main reason. And that one main reason is there's absolutely nobody, next for Seth Rollins next month. There's literally nobody else you could really do at Crown Jewel. I mean, Big Bronson Reed is like one perhaps, but I don't think that's big enough for Crown Jewel. That's what I've suggested, but I'm just nobody else really makes sense because everybody else is involved in different feuds. A heel Drew versus Seth, I think, is money. Big money, but Drew's not fully heel yet. They're still doing that storyline. They're developing that storyline. It's going great. So I don't think, they're going to rush it in 1 week, are they? So I think Seth's losing here. And I think he's losing the championship to Damian Priest, who will cash in. And then I think the Judgment Day will start to tear itself apart. But, Shad, I'll send this one to you first. What is your prediction heading into this World Heavyweight Championship bout?
I think that there's got to be some sort of added emphasis to the match between Shinsuke and Seth, because it's kind of dragging a little bit for me. I liked it initially and whatnot, but now it's kind of been a little stale, just my opinion. But I think it's going to be a very solid match like last time. And I want to, it's hard for me to pick Shinsuke to go over Seth just because how over Seth is and how, him being a champion. I don't know if they have a big direction for Shinsuke as a champion, even though I think they've done a good job building his character within him being a heel. So I got Seth retaining, but your idea of the cash in is pretty intriguing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just knowing that it is Fastlane, this isn't one of the more notable pay-per-views that they have on their docket. It's more of one of the, kind of not like a SummerSlam or like a Mania, Rumble, whatever it may be, but you definitely add a pretty solid moment. And I mean, yeah, Davies been chilling with that briefcase for a while, and it would kind of make sense within storyline purposes if they do lose in the start of the night to Cody and Jay. I mean, you're gonna have an angry Rhea Ripley saying, "We got to get gold back in the Judgment Day," and whatever way can you get gold than him cashing in the golden ticket and becoming the champ. So I kind of like that idea. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna steal it from you, but I'll be pretty interested. But for the time being, I'm gonna say Seth retains tomorrow night.
Yeah, fair enough indeed. I mean, it could very well go that way. I think the one way which I just can't see going is Shinsuke winning. But Coby, do you disagree? Do you think maybe we could see a shocking Shinsuke Nakamura victory?
I agree with the sentiment that Seth has no one left. And to me, if I had the pen and paper, you are giving Nakamura the victory because you've done so well with repackaging him. Maybe does Seth need time off? We don't know the logistics of this scenario. But I don't want to see Seth Rollins back in the Judgment Day feuds. That puts that puts it to Kevin, Sammy, Cody, Jay, and Seth. Who sides with the Judgment Day? Shinsuke. If you're gonna set up a big War Games or just a big match for Survivor Series, I don't agree with. I agree. I don't think that adds up. I like the point of if they do lose, you're going to have Rhea Ripley saying, "We need gold. We need to," or is this Damian Priest going into business for himself? I still have gold as a part of our Judgment Day. You're not. I'm untouchable type of thing. That's the other route. But to me, if I do believe Seth Rollins wins this, as much as I would say Shinsuke deserves it, Seth Rollins is gonna win it because look at the time. We have Crown Jewel coming up, and we know who they got in their back pocket. We're gonna get a rematch: Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. That's the move I can very much see happening if Seth Rollins keeps the title out of Fastlane. Logan Paul got a win at Survivor Series, and we don't really. They're not going to continue Ricochet and Logan if ever, because Ricochet's out for revenge for Shinsuke when he comes back from his injury type of thing. So we're in the scenario where yes, he has no one, but I think we can do Seth and Logan again. And I'm not going to bat an eye. I think you can make that interesting enough, and as long as you can sell us on that, which I think they can.
Unfortunately, they
the
can't
move
do
for
it
me.
though. He's boxing that weekend.
He's boxing the same
Oh,
weekend.
is he?
Yeah, he's
Right.
Dylan Dennis that exact weekend.
They're
So
well, now it might be Mike Perry.
Well, Dennis.
no. He's there. He's there. It's he just keeps trolling people.
I think Dennis is doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's confirmed. He keeps trolling people by doing the tweet saying "I'm out" at the end, and we're like, "Oh no, I meant I'm out of blah blah blah. I'm still in." But yeah, no. As of it has been confirmed today. He's still in it as of right now.
Logan's gonna
Mike
get
Perry's
destroyed
ready.
next time he comes to WWE when someone cuts a promo on him for all the stuff that Dennis has put out there.
I know.
It's gonna be brutal. But Cody Rhodes Fastlane to the mid card. Am I right, brothers? Matt Williams is saying no. He's winning. He's winning the tag team championships, and then he's gonna come and he's gonna finish the story against Roman Reigns. I don't think he will do that, but I do think he's winning the tag team championships. But Clark, enough about the tag team championships. How about the World Heavyweight Championship? Who will win tomorrow night? Seth freaking Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, or the wild card Damian Priest.
So I love your prediction, but with one slight difference. As far as Money in the Bank cash-ins are concerned, Seth Rollins pulled the ultimate heist and made it a triple threat match. We've told the back story, literally the back story about Seth. I think it's going to be an absolute war between him and Shinsuke where we're really invested. Shinsuke targets the back. Seth has, bursts of energy and offensive flow. It looks great all the time. There's a big bump late in the action, whether it be a ref bump, a Kinshasa of sorts, maybe to his back, and Seth hits the ref. And at that point, Priest brings his own referee down. There's some sort of maybe Shinsuke is just exhausted, lands the South of Heaven choke slam on Shinsuke. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest is your new world heavyweight champion. That's the way I would do it. I think it's time to pull the trigger on that. Sometimes I feel like if they hold that briefcase for too long, it gets almost lost in the shuffle, despite the theory about it selling more merch. I thought Austin Theory carried it too long. And part of that was because we only had the one undisputed title, but like there's multiple other examples I would say where I thought a wrestler carried that briefcase for just too long. Those briefcases sell anyway. It sold at Mania before Money in the Bank happened. They were selling them in the Superstore, right? They sell anyway, and they'll sell the unique one too because he's used it on TV. I don't think there's an issue with that as far as merch is concerned. And yeah, that's my call but he pins Nakamura, not Seth. And he makes it a triple threat match. That's my call. That's my difference between yours. Just to differentiate myself.
Yeah, just to mix it around.
A nuance.
So
And he pulls
when that one
move.
slight change happens, you say, "Oh, I'm right." But
no. I'm not that guy on this one because I do think you made the right call, and it's some variation of what we said there. I think. And even the one parallel I would draw though is back to the Highs of the Century thing, right? Seth
it's
made that a
good one.
triple
Yeah,
threat match,
that's right.
and so it'd be Priest kind of stealing his move and winning his title without having to pin him.
And
that's a fun story to tell because it also could drive Seth a little crazier than he's been.
I'm going to have to very quickly correct myself, right? Because I just was completely wrong. Wrong information. Dylan Dennis, Logan Paul, October 14th. So Coby, I guess he could recover in 2 weeks, but 2 weeks to build that match as well. I don't know. Possibly, but I don't know.
Maybe they get Jake Paul. Did we consider that?
Well, he's also, I think he's also got about 10 million things he wants to do, but
KSI.
KSI, yes. Although he's also on that card, isn't he? But
oh my goodness, man, they're all on this card. Never mind.
Oh, I can't believe there's this much demand for it, but there very, very clearly is, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe we do get Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. I said that I thought a Money in the Bank Logan was going to win and then cash it in, hold the championship. I was fully wrong. But I do still think, that feud could be money. I mean, would you agree?
I mean, yeah.
Logan
I
and
wouldn't
Seth
disagree.
again?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a bunch of more insight on it, but yeah, it would be
Yeah.
good.
That's the thing. Like looking at it, unless you're going to set up a triple threat, Seth, Shinsuke, and Ricochet, there's not really like what can you do in a month and build? Like that's
true.
something like
That's true.
it happened this year. We can build off of that. We can it's now a title feud. It's something that it's like you can just pull out of the back pocket and play the card that way. It makes sense out of that standpoint. How likely is it to happen? I don't know. That's the other thing.
The thing is, I feel the person that we want to see Seth feud with, unfortunately, has a title. I mean, two people. Obviously, one person is Roman. I want them to run back their feud, but Gunther is the other person because I want to see.
Yeah,
I want to see Gunther go for like the top title. Like, as amazing this Intercontinental run has happened, he's legitimized and brought complete life back to the IC title. I think his trajectory is to be a main event world champion, and that's what's next on the docket for him. And I feel out of anybody on that Raw roster, I mean, he's definitely like the guy, right? He's a heel as well with Seth playing babyface.
I think if Drew didn't feel a little bit stuck too, I would add McIntyre.
I don't think he's
place.
stuck. I think I think they're just starting the story. But Shad, you just said something. You got the wheels turning in my head, right? Maybe they. I'm not going back on my previous prediction. But if that doesn't happen, then maybe Crown Jewel, title versus title, Gunther versus Rollins. Everyone's like, oh, they're gonna merge more titles or whatever. They don't merge the titles because Damian Priest then cashes in, and he cashes in for the World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe he thinks he's won them both, but he hasn't on a technicality. That screams like something they would do, doesn't it?
That makes him look.
Oh my
that makes
gosh.
Damian look like an idiot.
Yeah,
He gets
I could see
all of it
something
except for
they do.
him, Stephen one
I
vote
don't know.
is good.
It's just something they do in there, though. But okay, maybe he doesn't think he's won both, but whatever. Right? I think maybe that could be the loophole to get them out of there and have that money match. Because it is weird they finished the Gunther feud with Ciampa on Raw just very suddenly.
Yeah.
So maybe Shard, you're onto something
Imperium. It's still an Imperium versus.
They're gonna,
DIY feud.
yeah, he's gonna feud. I mean, they're gonna. The thing with, so that's the other thing too. Like, I feel all of his feuds, like his feud with Ciampa is gonna be more or less the same type of feud it was with Gable, right? It's a tag team, and then you're gonna do mixing matches where he's gonna fight his, team members of Imperium, and then they'll have tag matches, and it'll run its course for a while. Like, I feel like he's a little bit. I feel like, and that's no disrespect to Ciampa. I promise you, nobody murder me on that. But I feel like that kind of booking is a little beneath Gunther at this point. I feel he needs to be in these, like when he was feuding with Drew and Sheamus, like that's kind of more his weight class of like legitimacy within competition.
Yeah. No, I mean that is a great point, Shard. That really is. Personally, I think I just have a feeling this is gonna be one where DIY versus Imperium next week on Raw, and then they move past it and not with Gunther again, and DIY go for the tag titles. But we'll have to wait and see. We will discuss it following Fastlane and following Raw on Monday at night. But thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back at the same time tomorrow to talk about SmackDown. It's gonna be a packed one, like Coby stated earlier on. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, a cheeky 5 stars really helps us out. We appreciate all of you. Thank you to Clark, thank you to Coby, and thank you to Shad for joining me here today. We will see you guys and enjoy Friday Night SmackDown. See you guys.